Basu Godin Notebook. 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 Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Basu and Godin Notebook on this Monday, October 20th. I'm Marc-Antoine Godin with Arpin Basu. Arpin, we're full disclosure, we're recording this podcast on Sunday night during the Blue Jays game. So we don't know what's the final score, but people will listen to our episode on Monday. So happy Diwali to those who celebrate. And yeah, it's,
the last time we recorded a Monday episode on a Sunday night, what happened?
oh, well, Lane Hudson signed.
Lane Hudson signed. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's any burning dossiers awaiting scooping our episode for Monday, but
We
that is what
should be
happened the
okay.
last time we recorded on Sunday evening. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. It's going to be a mailbag heavy episode today because we tend to get to them a bit late in episodes and rush it. And those questions are good. We've got plenty of good ones, so we decided that we would dedicate a bit more time this week to the mailbag. But first, Arpin, Kaiden Guhle going out to an injury. I think that's probably the biggest news since the new contracts, Hudson and
Yeah.
management. But Kaiden Guhle going out for 4 to 6 weeks. To which extent do you think it's getting worrisome? You know, carrying the tag of being injury prone, it's becoming problematic for Kaiden Guhle. Even
Well,
though it seemed like a fluke injury.
I mean, it didn't seem like a fluke injury. That's the thing. Like those non-contact injuries are often worrisome. I feel like I mean, I guess he could have been injured in the contact, but it just seemed like when it
In the
kicked in
corner, yeah.
the corner, it might have happened. But yeah, so it's worrisome and it's disappointing for him, right? I mean, this is such a thing that he has worked so hard to address. A lot of the weight he put on in the offseason was an effort to make himself more durable and to play a more physical brand of hockey while staying healthy. And he's he's tired of this, but it has hit him a few times, even going back to junior. And playing that brand of hockey, you're going to get hurt regardless. But it just these last few ones have been on such nothing burger plays. Well, first of all, his appendix bursts at training camp last year. Like that's random.
Yeah.
Obviously, slicing his own leg with his own skate while falling awkwardly is a fluke. But this one, we don't really know what it is, but it's less of it. It seems less fluky. Like this happened as a result of a hockey play. There was no dirty hit. There was nothing bad that necessarily happened to him, and he comes out of it injured. Like this is going to be it has to be very frustrating to him. And frankly, all three guys who missed Saturday's game. I mean, obviously they're saying Kirby Doc and Patrick Laine are not all that serious, but I saw them sitting in the press box on Saturday night, and the three of them are guys who are just too accustomed to sitting in that press box, or just in press boxes in general, in Laine's case. Um, but for Guhle, like, a lot of our conversation prior to, right at the beginning of training camp, when I sat down with him for that big feature, like this is something that is just really, it eats at him a little bit that he has not been able to stay healthy and he's not available for his teammates. So for it to come right out of the gate with the team playing so well, seemingly verging on sort of a breakthrough season for the team and him wanting to be such a big part of it and him wanting to, and we've seen it already, like him wanting to up the physicality, up the leadership, up all the intangible kind of things that he provides teams and always has. He was ready to bring that to the NHL this year in a really assertive way, like really be physical, and really take his place in the leadership group. Like he doesn't wear a letter, and he's not going to for a while in all likelihood, depending on what happens with Mike Matheson. But he's part of their leadership group now, and he was taking that seriously. And so it's very it has to be really disconcerting to him. Like it really does, because this has been a repeat story every year of his NHL career.
He's in his fourth season in the NHL, and right now he sits at 176 games played, which after three season and then the start of the start of a fourth one is not a lot. He's
No,
got 6 career games more played than Arbor Jacki. And Jacki is not necessarily a regular. He still fights for a regular spot.
Mhm.
Whereas when healthy, Kaiden Guhle has become a key cog of the defense score. He's an important piece of it. So to not have more mileage than what he's had, I guess that's frustrating because yeah, you could get older and get better and get stronger and all that stuff, but you need to play games in order to really reach your full potential. I think that we have not seen as close to what Kaiden Guhle can really be as I imagine him at 29, 30 years old and becoming a very, very well rounded defenseman. I mean, he already is, but once he's going to be a veteran, I think that he's going to be, in his own way, a, a dominant defensive defenseman. But he's got to play enough games to get to that potential, and he's always stopped in his tracks, at every corner. So
Mhm.
it is pretty frustrating. And honestly, I don't know what more he can do to avoid that.
No, because he's done everything he can. I mean, you remember like last summer, the summer prior to this past one, I guess I should specify, but he spent a lot of that summer learning how to take hits. It kind of reminded me of like, you're not going to get the reference because you're not a football guy, but like when Tua Tagovailoa had all those concussions, he spent an off season learning how to get tackled and learning how to hit the ground and not expose his head to trauma. Kaden Guhle spent a summer doing that with not only his head, but his shoulders and his knees and everything, like just basically learning how to accept contact in a safe way. And so every in this off season, a lot of the time he spent in the gym with Kirby Doc, like that was the goal, was to bulk up in order to prevent injury. And it's really the number one question mark on him. It's the only question mark on him, frankly. Like there's no really other question of his potential other than his ability to stay healthy. Like it's the only unknown he's left after those 170 odd games. Um, Do you have any other question of his ability to be an impact NHL player? Like this is it.
Well, no,
This is the one thing.
he got a 6-year deal out of his entry level contract, and the only reason why he didn't get an 8-year deal, I think, is because of durability questions. Because otherwise, if you look for consistency and predictability in the type of hockey that he's going to play, you know what you're going to get out of it. He's a simply on in terms of on ice performance, he's a blue chip type of guy. You would
Mhm.
not hesitate to invest long term in this guy. So back when he signed that contract, I thought, okay, 6 years instead of 7 or 8. There must have been. I know that there was a little bit of hesitation when it came to to his health, and
Mhm.
for better or for worse, we're seeing that it's an issue that keeps repeating. Now, 4 to 6 weeks, it's not a long term thing.
No.
Um, he's a guy who's accustomed us. Yeah, he leaves the game often, but he comes back fairly quickly. Also, I mean, I think that he has a chance to, perhaps we don't know, but beat that prognosis. We'll see.
Or at
So
least be
it's
on the
not.
low end of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So and the Canadians right now we discussed it at the previous episode. We went at length discussing Struble and Jacki. I think right now they've got enough depth to balance that out, and it's not an issue that lasts for 3 months. So in the meantime, I think that they can get by. But my concern really is the fact that he's the most accomplished defensive defenseman they've got. So thank goodness for Mike Matheson reorienting his style as years go by and becoming a very dependable defensive defenseman. He's been the steadiest guy they've had so far since the beginning of the season, and he's been very good defensively as well as offensively. But Guhle is the guy who brings balance to the force, on the blue line when it
Yes.
comes to defensive aspects. So in the long run, I'm curious to see what impact it's going to have on the Canadians' ability to shut the opponent when they try to gain the zone. Uh, how quickly the Canadians might get stuck, in their own end. Things that usually Kaiden Guhle can help with, and if there won't be, well, maybe that the Canadians don't lose a lot in terms of physicality with Struble in the lineup instead of him. I think
Mhm.
that it's comparable, but when Guhle hits, I think that it's more painful than Struble, just by the sheer size of the two guys.
Yeah,
So
and also just Guhle has a violent nature to him, and Struble. Not saying that Struble doesn't, but Guhle's sense of timing on those hits, and like he's did something he's done his whole life. Where Struble, I think, is trying to grow into that type of player. Like he's not, he didn't. You don't go blowing guys up in college that often, even though Struble did actually quite quite regularly. But it's less of an aspect of the NCAA game than it is the WHL game of all the junior leagues. It's the most physical one, right? So my question, and we went over Struble and Arbor enough that we don't need to go back into it. And frankly, these guys have a runway now to show what they can do when Guhle gets back. And it's kind of like a 4 to 6 week audition for the two guys to be like, here's what we can do when that guy gets back. I'm the one who deserves to stay in, so that's going to be interesting to monitor. But the penalty kill is a very interesting sort of side effect here in the sense that the other night Alex Carrier took a penalty with 1 minute 32 seconds left in the second period. Mike Matheson and Noah Dobson were basically told to go out there and finish the period.
yeah,
Um, Mike Matheson was reluctant to admit that, and then I looked at him and I was like, Mike, you would clear the puck and you wouldn't even look at the bench. Like, I mean, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, well, basically, yeah, okay, yes. We were supposed to finish. We were supposed to finish the period.
yeah,
And then they came out and started the next period, obviously, with an intermission to rest. That makes perfect sense. And there was only 28 seconds or whatever left in the penalty kill. And the Rangers scored ultimately, not technically on the power play, but it was just as that penalty was ending when they got the first goal of the third period. And so it was interesting to me that there was an immediate reluctance to throw either Struble or Jackeye into that mix. Like that just was not a consideration. And I think it's somewhat fair, but I think over these 4 to 6 weeks, they're gonna have to work these guys in to the penalty kill. Like they have to. They can't go with three defensemen on the penalty kill for the next month. It just doesn't make sense. And I think in the long run, it would help them if they have a Struble or a Jackeye or both, who they feel confident throwing out there on the penalty kill. And I think Struble, of the two, um, probably has the better tools to do that if I had to pick between the two. But I think they need to start trusting more guys to play on the penalty kill. We saw the same thing on up front when I think it was Josh Anderson who took a penalty, the penalty that Marty basically said turned the whole game around on
yeah.
Saturday, which was a really needless, stupid holding penalty on a forecheck. Like there was really no point in taking that. But when he did that, Jake Evans also was told just go out there and stay out there until you're too tired to come off. Which, if you tell that to a player, they're just not coming off. And which is what he did. And he was on the ice for 90 odd seconds when Mika Zibanejad scored. So, um, with Guhle gone now, like it's one thing in a game when a guy takes a penalty and okay, we can withstand this one penalty. Let's just ride our guys and let's hope we get through it. Guhle's gone for 46 weeks. You can't do that constantly, and you can't have three penalty killing defensemen. Like it's just not ideal. And so, um,
But just
you know,
to just regarding that penalty late in the second period, Jaga had gone back to the room because he had fought, and there was less than 5 minutes left in the period. So the next
mhm,
man up was Struble. So
yeah,
by asking Matheson and Dobson to stay on the ice at all costs and don't look at the bench, it was basically we're trusting you, and
we're
we're
not
not going
trusting
to
him.
ask. We're not
Yes,
trusting Struble. We're not going to
yeah,
ask him to jump on the PK at the tail end of a period for his probably what would be his first PK shift of the season.
yeah.
Uh, so yeah, eventually he'll have one of Jackeye or Struble will have to play on the PK. Struble was happy with the way that he played the PK during camp, so he was he's been sitting all those meetings, so he's aware of it, but he needs reps. Jack Guy has had a bit more at this point. I don't know if that's going to play a part in the decision to say, well, we're going to go with the one who's probably more comfortable and has had more repetitions doing that. But I'm with you. I mean, 4 to 6 weeks, you can't just ask three guys to, to take the whole load. Because otherwise, I mean, if it's remotely a special team heavy game, I mean, how many minutes are you going to play Noah Dobson? Because he's going to be needed on the power play too. So